Right, so you're from, is it Estuary?
Estuary
TV, right. So you said you wanted to be a journalist since you was 10 years old. How come you didn't want to go into papers? How come you went into broadcast?
I started in papers.
Did you?
When I was growing up, there weren't the opportunities, and the only way to get into media was everybody started out in newspapers.
Right.
Unless you were the son or daughter of maybe somebody already in the BBC, because I know it was mentioned, nepotism still a big thing. So papers, and then it was the natural progression that if you wanted to go somewhere in your career and you didn't want to end up being a newspaper editor, then you would then break into radio, and then it was television. And I suppose only the few would ever break into television in those days, because, and I think this still applies to some extent on the networks, if you haven't got a face for television, then the doors close. I'm not saying I have, but it is almost that type of thing, that I suppose I went into television just by a fluke, really. I didn't think, oh, that's where I want to be. It just happened.
Are you glad that happened then, that you've gone into television?
Yeah, I am, because though I love papers, and I still do freelance writing for papers, and it's great, I still love writing. Television, I suppose, in one respect, I'm not saying it's made it easier, because you wave a camera around, ask a few questions. Your skill base, I suppose, changes slightly, because I have to think visually rather than in words to tell a story. So you've got to be creative to put something which can be really dull and boring to make it interesting and engaging, because when people watch telly, they have like a 3-second attention span. So if you can't hook them in, you lose them instantly.
Right. What was your question?
Yeah, do you know, you said that you get a lot of content from people.
Yeah.
How do they go about it? Do you seek them out sometimes?
I do, it's a bit of that. I will try and get to, like, the whole filmmakers forum, go to events like that to meet filmmakers. In touch with colleges like you're at to talk to tutors about projects that we can probably work on collaboratively, or things that you're doing that I think might be useful to put a platform for you, and searching through the internet for things. But then a lot of things land on my desk. I get a lot of people ringing me up, either with who aren't filmmakers, but they have an idea. How can they get that idea out of their heads to be made? And in some instances, that it's not going to go anywhere, because you're thinking, I don't think the audience is going to be interested in this, or it's not a priority of mine, because if you haven't got a production company and you've not got money, then I'm going to put your idea on a back burner. So there's a mix of different things in there, and then I've got a lot of companies from outside the region who come to me with programmes that they've made, that they know they can't get on the national networks, so they see local television as that outlet, and that's what local TV is. I think it's an outlet for all these filmmakers to have a platform, and there are some fabulous programmes I've come across. Last year I came across a school in Brigg in North Lincolnshire whose students, must be 13, 14 years old, had made a film all about the First World War dead who had been to their school and obviously got killed in France, and they'd made this hour-long film. Fabulous. It's going out on the channel at the moment. They shot, they edited, they researched that, and they're making part 2 for us for Christmas time. And it's things like that that I search for, because they're otherwise nobody apart from their families may have seen that film.
Yeah.
And this to me is what local TV is about.
It's like an outlet for all the local talent.
Yeah, it
Giving
is.
us opportunities.
Yeah.
Really, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. So you say about that you don't really have a younger audience, do you?
Well, most of the messages I get from people show me that they're the more mature audience, because they like the history programmes, they like the news, they like the current affairs. The younger people tend to watch the sport programmes.
On the bench.
On the bench, and on the bench extra. But obviously I think a lot of that is male dominated. And then we have lots of younger people who like the Unsigned Transmissions programme, which is a music programme made by an external company for us. But then they'll they'll come in and say, but you don't do anything else. So at the moment, say St Mary's in Hull is doing some pilots. They pitched to me a couple of weeks ago. I came over to Hull and listened to their student pitches, and then I had to choose one programme out of all of them. So I've set lots of people the programme I chose. And they're making that into a pilot. And now I've said if it is good enough and it's of broadcast quality, I will show that pilot. And if I think I can get funding, then that pilot can be made into a proper programme. Now whether that involves those, because obviously I appreciate those students are going to move on elsewhere, or maybe an independent company in the area, we can get the money to pay them to make that programme into something. So I'm all the time looking at opportunities, but at the same time looking at money, because people want to be paid to make things. I'm well aware of that, because I know food on the table doesn't come for free. So it's trying to strike a balance to find money, and sometimes it's about approaching local companies as well to part with their money and convince them that local TV works and it's worth their while as well.
So do you have any advice for people our age who are trying to break into, you know, different industries, newspapers, radio and TV? Do you have any advice?
The big thing is be determined, because I know when I started out, many doors close, you get lots of rejection letters before you get your first break. And once you've got your first break, you pretty much, you're okay, it is. So it's having a determination and a doggedness, but you will be one of thousands from around the country applying for these jobs. So you have got to stand out head and shoulders. And I think one of that is showing already that you're nosing, you're getting content, and that you've either been supplying that content to various outlets in some kind of way, showing that you've done work experience. And by work experience, I don't mean sitting and being the wallflower in the corner of a room, that you've actually put, can I do this, can I do that, what can I, and showing initiative. And finding stories which other people haven't found, because every media outlet always wants exclusives. So have you got that contacts book with people's names in? Maybe your uncle is, the chairman of Hull City, and as daft as it seems, or it's your neighbour, it's having those contacts as well, which some media outlets, especially if you wanted to go into celebrity, they would kill for some contacts. So I think it's, having your contacts, having that determination, and being able to take a story and be able to tell it in a balanced, clear way for an audience as well. And as I say, for you guys now, you don't have to start at newspapers and work your way up the ladder. You can walk in the door at any level these days. So you can go straight into television, you can go straight into radio. But I think it's knowing where you want to be and what your niche is and what your skills are. What makes you better than anybody else.
Yeah.
And only you will know that.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah. Well, going back to Estuary TV, what kind of variety do you have in genre, in terms of genre?
Okay, news and current affairs is in there because one of the staple things of the licence agreement was we had to provide local news. So that is in there. Sport, obviously, because all the viewers were saying, it's great, Radio Humberside, the paper, we can read about it, but after 2 minutes on the radio or Look North, or even less than that, it's gone. We can say, we can do an hours long programme. I mean, we're doing a special about North Ferriby going to Wembley, because we can do that. So football, all the sports are fabulous, because all these other minority sports are coming out saying, hey, we can be on your show because nobody knows about us. So sport and news are big. I say history is big. The factual documentaries, if they're more history related, are very popular. Lifestyle programmes, like we've got some cooking programmes going out at the moment. That's very popular. We have had some investigative documentaries on there that we've had submitted, but I have a list this long on my desk with about 20 or more different genres of programmes I'm looking for, and I am trying to find something for each one of those. So from culture and art, with the build up to Hull 2017, we are desperate to get some cultural arts programmes starting for the big build up. Children's programme, at the minute we don't have anything for children.
Yeah.
So children's programming, great, whether it's animations or puppetry, whatever, always looking. And I say these ideas, I'm always developing formats for TV programmes and then going to businesses saying, hey, look at this programme, do you want to sponsor it? Have you got any money? Or looking at lottery funding for different projects. So I would love to try and tick all my genre boxes if I can. Maybe I will. But yeah, we've got a very slim genres on the TV at the minute, and I want to open it up to more.
Looking to expand, yeah.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah. Well, I think that will do for
Yeah.
today.
Yes.
Thank you
Thank
for
you
your
very much.
interview.
All right, thank you.